Hi, gals and guys. I need everybody to get their whiteboard out because we're going to do a quick review on estimation. It's going to be a little bit different because you have to use my screen to try to estimate, but you just do the best you can. So I'm going to hit pause and I'm going to give you just a moment to get your whiteboard, eraser, and marker ready to go. All right. I have some measuring worms here, and you're going to estimate how long you think they are. So we're going to start with this worm right here. How many inches long do you think this worm is? And I want you to estimate. Remember, that means to make a good guess. Write your guess on your whiteboard. And let's check. I'm going to get out the ruler that I made. And it looks like this worm is how many inches long? 4 inches long. If you estimated, if you made the guess of 4 inches long, you can put a tally on your whiteboard. Here's our next worm. What's your estimate for how long this worm is? Write it on your whiteboard. Let's check. 2 inches. If you guessed or estimated 2 inches, you are correct. Give yourself a tally. Here's our next worm. Make your estimate on your whiteboard. How long do you think this guy is? Let's check. He is 3 inches long. If you guessed 3 inches, you can give yourself a tally. Let's try this one. How long is this worm? If you guessed 4 inches, you are correct. Give yourself a tally. How long do you think this worm is? He's just a little guy. If you guessed 1 inch, you are correct. You can give yourself a tally. How long is this one? Let's check it. 3 inches. Give yourself a tally. One last one. How long is this one? If you guessed 2 inches, you're right. Give yourself a tally. Good work. I'm going to hit pause for just a second while I move on to the next thing. We're ready to move on. Please get page 559 out of your math book. It's lesson 8.4. Today we're measuring with an inch ruler. It's page 559. 559. Make sure your name is at the top. The directions say draw each worm to match the given length. So what you're supposed to do is use the ruler you made to draw a worm that is 1 inch long. I have my little worm guy that's 1 inch long. So we're going to draw a worm that is 1 inch long. Here is 1 inch. So I'm going to make those two markings first. And then I'm going to make him kind of look like a worm. We'll give an eyeball and a smile. There's our worm. Now the directions ask you to draw a worm that's 2 inches long, but you can't use your ruler. You can only use this 1 inch worm you drew as a guide. So if he's 1 inches, I know, or if he's 1 inch, sorry, if he's 1 inch, I know that a 2 inch worm is going to be double his size. So if he's about 1 inch here, that's 1 inch. Then another piece this big would look, be about there, would you say? That would be about double. And then I am going to draw my little worm that's 2 inches long. Now I need to draw a worm that's 3 inches long, but I can't use my ruler. I'm just using this little guy that I know is 1 inch as a guide. So let's see. I knew that this was 1 inch, and well, my thumb is bigger than my thumb, but maybe, and if that's about 2 inches, and maybe this, okay. Now I have 4 marks here, but remember when we're measuring, we don't count the marks. We count the spaces between the marks. So 1, 2, 3, 3 hops. I want to make my little worm. Give him an eyeball and a smile. And I'm guessing those are my estimates of how long my worms were. Now when you're all done doing your worms, it says you only need to do a worm that's 1 inch, 2 inches, and 3 inches. If you want to try a 4 inch worm, you certainly can. But now I've done my worms, I'm going to actually do a check, see how close I was. Well, I was able to use my ruler for this worm, so he looks pretty good. How did I do with 2 inches? I did pretty well. Just using my eyeballs and guessing and making an estimate, I was pretty close. Let's see how I did with 3. Okay, pretty good. It was a little bit short, but that's okay. He's closest to 3 inches than any other amount. So I give myself a 3 or 4. I thought I did pretty well. You can give yourself a grade too. How did you do? If your worms were way off, you can go ahead and fix them. That is okay. Take a minute to finish that page up, and then we'll move on to the next page. Before we move on to page 560, you need to get out your inch ruler, your U.S. customary ruler that I put in with your things. This has only the U.S. customary system on it. and these are inches. The line here is where the inches are. Notice here we have some other lines because this is where the inch has been divided up into pieces. So it's kind of like looking at fractions. So if this is 1 inch, then this mark right here is half an inch. Okay. This mark right here shows a 1/4 inch, and this mark right here shows 3/4 of an inch. So let me show you. So on my ruler, if I go like this, and I've cut my inch into 4 pieces. Whenever we look at fractions, the number of pieces we have is always on the bottom. So I have 4 pieces right here. If I'm only talking about this piece, that is a 1/4 inch. This amount, just this little amount from here to here, is a 1/4 inch, or 1/4. It's only 1 out of the 4 pieces. If I color in another piece, then from here to here is 2 out of the 4 pieces. 2 out of the 4 pieces, and it's the same as 1/2 the inch, 1/2 of the inch. So 2/4 is the same as 1/2. If I color in another square, now I have 3/4 of an inch. So 3 out of the 4 pieces are colored. So at the bottom of my fraction is the number of total pieces I have. The top number is how many pieces are colored in. In this case, it's the length. So from here to here is 3/4. Now, if I color in my last piece, I have colored in 4 pieces. So I started with 4 pieces. The number on the bottom is the number of pieces I have. How many are shaded in? 4. Whenever the top number and the bottom number are the same, it's always equal to 1. Always. Whenever the top number and the bottom number in the fraction are the same, it's always equal to 1. That's just a quick review on fractions. So when we're looking here, this is a 1/4 inch from here to here. Whoops, you can't see. This is a 1/4 inch from here to here. This is another 1/4 inch. This is another 1/4 inch, and this is another 1/4 inch. So here's a 1/4 inch, here's 1/2 inch, here's 3/4 of an inch, and here's 1 whole inch. So that's what those lines mean. Today you're just going to be using the inch marks. I'm going to hit pause, and then we're going to start with session 2.